you are developing a network. That is going to be most important. And that's a great way to build that side hustle and then turn that side hustle into your full-time career, because he got to focus in an industry that he loved and also was able to make more money in the long run because he enjoyed what he was doing. He was having fun doing it. He was loving it. Money is not everything, my friend. Keep chasing that dream. It's only a matter of time. Maybe the time is now before you can flip and go full-time after that dream career. All right, let's jump into some Q&A. By the way, got the fresh haircut. Check it out. Look good. Feels good. Anyway, let's get into the questions. First question is from Kevin, 31 years old, from San Diego. Kevin says, I currently make $10,000 after taxes per month in my day job. Good job, Kevin. Over the last several years, I have been building my side hustle, buying and reselling vintage clothes and sneakers. I'm to the point where I'm consistently making $6,000 per month. I know that I can make more if I do it full time. Should I leave my day job? Well, first of all, congratulations for chasing your dream and building the side hustle. That's fantastic. The fact that you're making $6,000 doing something that you love is amazing. When it comes to making the decision between staying the course and using it as a side hustle for now and keep continuing to build it, or leaving your full-time job and doing your side hustle as the full-time job, you have to look at the financials. So right now, if you say that your income is $10,000 and that you're making $6,000 from the side hustle, that means you're making $16,000 a month, right? That's really good. Now what you have to do is build yourself a financial bridge to your ultimate dream. So lay out your income after taxes and your expenses and see what the surplus or deficit is. Now let's say that you are currently making $16,000, but your expenses are only $8,000. That's fantastic. You're banking and saving a lot of money, right? So your savings and your investment is going up. Now, if you switch off that full-time job and you're only doing your side hustle, you're now making $6,000 a month and your expenses are still $8,000 a month. So you're losing $2,000 a month. So what you have to do is figure out how long would it take you to ramp up to $8,000 by going to that side hustle full time. But not only that, how long would it take you to get to $9,000 or $10,000, because you want to be saving money, right? You don't want to just be breaking even in your life. And so you have to figure that out and see how long you can sustain that. So let's say it takes you 6 months to build from $6,000 in your side hustle to $8,000 full time. Well, do you have the savings to get you through that? Are you comfortable with that? Or let's say it takes you 6 months to get to 8,000 and then 12 months to get to 10,000. So 12 months before you're really saving any money again. Are you okay with that? You have to basically just lay out the math and figure out what you're comfortable with. But the fact that you're already making $6,000 doing it as a side hustle, I would bet by doing it full time that you can make significant money in a pretty decent amount of time, meaning a short amount of time. So that's fantastic. The other thing that you have to think about is how sustainable is this profession, right? Buying and reselling these vintage clothes and sneakers is a great business. Is that something that you can do for the long haul? Is that something that you can do for the next 10, 15 years, right? You don't have to, right? But if you're thinking about your income, just make sure it's something that you feel is gonna last, okay? It doesn't have to be 10 or 15 years, right? It could be 3 years, 5 years, whatever it is. But just make sure it's something that's going to last. The other thing to factor in is if your expenses are $8,000 today, or whatever they are, if you leave that full-time job, are those expenses gonna go up because now you might have to start paying for things like health insurance? So factor that. But at the end of the day, it comes down to this. Do the math and look out month over month, let's say for the next 12 to 36 months, and start to project what you believe that you can do. Now, be conservative. Don't assume that you're all of a sudden going to cut your expenses from $8,000 a month to $4,000 because you're going to live like a pauper, right? I would, to be safe, assume you're going to have the same expenses, if not higher, if you have to start paying for things like health insurance. But you can do that, no problem. Put those projections together and get to a point where you feel comfortable, and then you can make the leap. But the good news is You are on your way. You're doing an excellent job. Keep chasing that dream. It's only a matter of time. Maybe the time is now before you can flip and go full time after that dream career. You're crushing it. Keep doing well. All right, next question. We have from Derek T, 28 years old from Cleveland, Ohio. Let's see what he says. Derek says, I am 28 years old and single. I work in finance, and while the money is great, I feel like I should be doing more, like I should be helping people. I believe a career as a firefighter would be extremely rewarding, but I feel like I would be leaving a well-paying career for much less money. Would love to hear your thoughts. Well, first thing I would say is money is not everything, my friend. Firefighting is a calling. If you feel called to be a firefighter, then you're not doing that for the money. If the money is the most important thing to you, then you should stay in finance. But hearing what you're saying, I don't think you're going to be happy doing that. And now is the time to do it. You said you're 28 years old, you're single. If you stay in finance, eventually you get married, you start to have kids, you get a mortgage, right? It's never too late, but it becomes more difficult as you go. So the time to do it would be now. And again, if you're saying that you want to be a firefighter, then the money should not be the most important thing to you, because firemen don't make amazing money, right? They don't do it for that. They don't do it for riches and fame, right? They do it because they feel like it's a calling. And it sounds like that's what you're saying. You have to become okay with the fact that you're not going to make all the money in the world, right? It's okay, you're going to make good money. And if you do a good job saving and investing that money, you're going to be more than fine in life. But you have to understand you're not going to make what you would make in finance. And again, that's perfectly okay, because it sounds like you're being called to be a firefighter. Whereas a job in finance, it doesn't sound like that's something you feel called to do. You're doing it just for a paycheck. So I would definitely follow your heart. Go after what you truly love in life, which sounds like becoming a firefighter. It's a higher calling for you. It's a purpose for you. And so I would definitely advise, follow what you feel is going to be best for your overall life. Because you can stay in finance, you can make money, but guess what? If you're unhappy at 28, you're not going to be any happier at 38 or 48. In fact, it's probably going to go the opposite way. So I recommend follow your calling, follow your passion. You have to be okay with the fact you're not going to make as much money in finance, but again, that's not the most important thing, because that's not what firefighting is about. So I'd say go after your dream. All right, before we get to the next question, let me take a quick minute to first say thank you for checking out my channel. If you like it and find it helpful, please hit the like button, subscribe, and even share it. By doing so, you help to push the message to more people, which in turn allows us to help more people to identify and achieve the career of their dreams, or what I call their dream vocation. If you have specific questions that you want me to answer during Q&A, please submit them on my website at www.thedreamvocation.com and fill out the form on the Contact Me page. Lastly, if you are stuck trying to figure out your career path, if you are sick and tired of being sick and tired of your career, or even if you haven't started your career yet and have no idea how to identify your ideal career, I invite you to take my online course called Identifying and Achieving Your Dream Vocation. You can find this course on my website and also in the description of this video below. It's nearly 5 hours of content that provide you with actionable plans to not only identify the career of your dreams, but also to achieve it. Many of the topics that I discuss on these Q&A videos are lessons from that course, of which you are getting a sneak peek during this Q&A. The course goes into much more detail and provides specific action plans. So, if you are ready to begin going after your dreams and living the life that you deserve, this course will help you to get there. Let's get back to the Q&A. All right, next question. We have from Adam B, 31 years old, from Tulsa, Oklahoma. Adam B says, I'm in accounting and I really enjoy it. However, I currently work in the manufacturing industry and it's incredibly boring and stagnant. I would love to work in a more exciting industry that I'm passionate about, specifically the golf industry. I still want to do accounting, but I want to do it in a different industry. How would I go about making that shift, especially when the major golf brands are not located near me? You know, I actually had a friend who did something exactly like this. He was a CPA, right? He did accounting and finance, and he did that for any old type of company. I forget what type of company, right? A quote unquote widget manufacturer, whatever it was. And he wasn't really interested in that, right? It was paying the bills. He had a young kid at the time, but he wanted to do something more exciting. He is an outdoorsman. He loves skiing, hiking, camping, all that good stuff. So what he did was basically started to market himself to outdoors companies that were local to him, telling them that he could be what's called a fractional CFO. It's basically someone who helps out with the finances. They do it part-time. They don't have to be in the office. They just do it on the side as a side hustle, because a lot of these small businesses, they don't have the resources to pay a full-time accountant or a full-time financial person, a full-time CFO. So he started reaching out to these different organizations, and he got a couple of them to bite. And he ended up doing it and loving it. And the one company loved him so much that as they grew, they brought him on full time. And actually, that company ended up doing so well that they got bought out, and he had stock in it, and he did really well with that exit. So it ended up working out fantastic for him because he got to focus in an industry that he loved, and also was able to make more money in the long run because he enjoyed what he was doing. He was having fun doing it. He was loving it, right? He wasn't just doing his financial work for some widget manufacturer that he could care less what they made or what they did or what they provided as a service. He was doing his financial work, which he liked, in an industry that he was passionate about. And so he did that exact thing. So you can definitely do that. If I were you, what I would do is form a little company, right? Sorry, I know I like to do air quotes. I don't know why. But form a little company and just form an LLC. You can do that online. It takes like 10 minutes and $150. And then just name the company. You can brand it, maybe something like, Bogey Accounting or, Park Accounting, some golf name, right? And then from there, you can develop a simple website if you want, right? You can do that online these days, so simple. Or even if you just want to start emailing people without a website, you don't need a website necessarily. And start telling them who you are and what you're about, what you're trying to do. I would start with companies local to you and smaller companies that are in the golf industry because they probably need some help, right? And again, you're not asking them to make a $100,000 commitment. You're asking them to do some part-time accounting work for them. And at the beginning, you might even want to offer to do a pro bono or free because you're just trying to get your foot in the door. You're trying to get some experience. But you can definitely do it. I would start it as the side hustle. Again, form the LLC, name the company, put golf in the title so that way they know it's specific on golf. And you go out there and you start to market yourself and you can gain some clients probably pretty quickly. You're going to have to be willing to put yourself out there, right? You're in accounting. I don't know if your personality aligns with sales and marketing, but you're going to have to go out there and do that. So you're going to have to get comfortable with being a little bit uncomfortable. But I promise you can make that happen. And that's a great way to build that side hustle and then turn that side hustle into your full-time career. And maybe in 5 years, you are doing accounting solely for golfing companies. And maybe you even team up with one specific company. You become a part owner, a partner in that company, or maybe the big dogs start calling you, right? Maybe the Titleists of the world and the whoever else, the Nikes of the world that are big in golf. So start small. You can definitely do that. It's been done before for sure. You can definitely do that. So I like that you already love what you do in terms of accounting. Now you just want to get to that industry that you're passionate about. So great question. You could definitely do it. All right, next question is from Sarah E., 24 years old from Tulsa, Oklahoma. This is a good one. So Sarah says, I'm a former college basketball player, and my dream vocation is to work as a coach in the WNBA. How would I go about achieving such a big dream? All right, Sarah, getting into any career, whether it's a WNBA coach, a pilot, or working in a manufacturing facility, is pretty much the same path, right? You have to map out what that path looks like. And there's an easy way to do that today by looking at LinkedIn profiles of people who already work in those careers. So, for example, if I wanted to work as a pilot, I would look up pilots and I would see what their path was, and then I could replicate that or something similar to it. So, for example, a pilot probably went to flight school or were in the military, and then they probably started flying small aircrafts and then building from there and then getting to a major airline. WNBA coach is the same thing, right? I don't know if they have LinkedIn profiles, but the WNBA is pretty media savvy, and they have stories behind these coaches, so I'm sure you can easily find what those coaches' paths were. In fact, I actually looked up a few for you. Now, I have a formula for getting into any type of career, right? And so what I'll do is weave that formula into what I found on the internet about becoming a WNBA coach and help you get to an answer. So I've never looked up how to become a WNBA coach. It was never a dream of mine. But I looked it up on the internet. It took me 5 minutes, and I'll share what I came up with. So Becky Hammond. So she transitioned from a playing career in the WNBA to eventually coaching in the WNBA. Now, that won't necessarily work for you because you didn't play in the WNBA. Now, you did play in college, so you have a great start. So another path that could be applicable for you would be that of Christy Sides. So she began her coaching career in high school and then eventually rose through the ranks and became a WNBA coach. Another name that I found was Natalie Nakasi, and I might be pronouncing that name incorrectly, so I apologize. But she started out as a video intern, which is a low-level position for the LA Clippers, and then eventually moved into the WNBA and rose through the ranks and became a coach. So those last two are paths that you may be able to replicate. And so the first thing to do is to chart out your path. What path do you want to take? Maybe you want to start as a high school coach, build a career, build a brand, build winning programs so that colleges start to notice you. Then you go to the college ranks, and then from there you graduate to the WNBA. Or maybe you want to start working for these teams directly as an intern, right? Whether it's a scouting intern or a low-level scouting position, and then eventually grow to assistant coach or a video coordinator, things like that. There's different roles that these younger coaches get into and then rise through the ranks. Now, the key is that throughout your course, whatever path you choose, you are developing a network. That is going to be most important, okay? You need to be reaching out to people in the WNBA today, whether it's all the way up to the coach and shooting for the dream shot and hoping that someone like Christy Sides gets back to you, or just talking to the lowest level intern that they have. All you're doing is building a network and developing relationships so that as you build your career, you can lean on those relationships to find more opportunities. So, for example, let's say you're going to start out as a high school coach, right? Now, as you're doing that, you're talking to people in the WNBA, or maybe you even have to start at the college ranks who then have connections in the WNBA because no one in the WNBA will get back to you at this moment. That's fine. You got to start somewhere. So you're building your network so that as you grow your coaching career and you become better and better at coaching, the people that are in your network are going to move into positions of influence where they can start to look and say, hey, I know a good coach, Sarah. So when we're looking for an assistant coach or a scouting coordinator, we should reach out to Sarah. Now, as you're in your career, you also have to be excellent at that. So you also need to put focus on becoming the best coach possible, right? Getting a mentor, going to coaching clinics, constantly drawing up plays, making sure that you're working with your teams and those teams are winning. So that way, when you've become such a strong coaching candidate that you already have the network so that those WNBA people start to reach out to you because they see the success that you're having at the high school ranks or the college ranks. Or again, if you already take the path and just start working directly in the WNBA as a low-level intern or assistant, those people that are eventually going to influence a coaching decision know you, know who you are, what you're about, that you're a worker, a grinder, and that you're successful. So, again, if I break it down to two things, focus on becoming so good at the task that you work at, your job, that people can't take their eyes off of you, but get more eyes on you by developing that network. That network is going to pay off huge in 5, 10, 15, even 20 years. Because as you're building your resume, they're going to be watching. And don't just reach out and start that network now and then forget about it. You need to keep that network going. Work just as hard at building your network as you are at becoming great at your job as a coach. If you do that, I promise you, you can accomplish your dream of becoming a coach in the WNBA, right? That's a career that people think, oh, that's impossible. Only a former player in the WNBA can get there. It's not true. Look, others have done it. This is the path for you to do it. You can do it by building your network and becoming just the best coach possible. So if you do those two things, I promise you, your dream is realistic and possible. I knew a guy back in the day who desperately wanted to work in the NBA. He just wanted to be involved in the league. He loved it. He was passionate about it. And he would send letters. This was basically at the early stages of email and people didn't use it as much. He literally sent hundreds of letters to different coaches throughout the NBA over and over and over and over again. To the point that eventually someone finally responded to him, met with him, and gave him a chance. I don't remember what job they gave him, but it was like the lowest level that there was. He got that job, he did well, and now he is an international scout in the NBA. So it is possible, it's been done before, you can absolutely do it. So map out that course, build your network, focus on becoming the best coach possible. Those two things collide, you're going to accomplish your dream. All right, that's all for today's questions. Thanks so much. Hope you have a great day. Love you all.